Jury selection is underway as disgraced Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein goes back on trial in New York 5 years after being convicted of rape and sentenced to 23 years in prison in what was hailed as a victory for the Me Too movement.
You may recall that conviction was overturned last year. An appeals court ruled that Weinstein had been deprived of a fair trial. He's remained in custody in New York as he appeals a separate sex assault conviction in California. For Weinstein, this retrial is another chance toward exoneration. For his accusers, the stakes feel higher amid a changed cultural and political climate in the United States. Joining us to discuss is defense attorney Misty Marris. Misty, thanks so much for sharing part of your afternoon with us. How hard do you think it's going to be to seat an impartial jury in this retrial?
Boris, jury selection is going to be incredibly difficult. There is not a person in New York, even in the country or on the planet, who hasn't heard of Harvey Weinstein and does not have some information about his prior conviction. Maybe the conviction was overturned in New York. And also remember, he's still convicted on charges in California. So in order to cut through individuals who hold biases right from the get-go, the judges created some unique rules during voir dire, that's the jury selection process, by which the jurors will be asked when the pool comes into the room, can you be impartial? And those that say they cannot be will be dismissed from the case. So there's a lot going into seating this jury, including jury questionnaires and a lot of research on prospective jurors that's being done on both sides in order to get jurors not who haven't heard of the case, but who can listen to the evidence and go in with a clear mind and make a decision on what they hear in court.
Yeah. And this case, the original Weinstein case, was was really the epitome of the Me Too movement, and it was such a big part of it. Now, one of Weinstein's attorneys is quoted in Variety magazine saying this is going to be a very different trial. The mob mentality that was so pronounced, they said, at his first trial, I think has subsided. He's going to have the trial that he should have had all along. Misty, what do you think about that?
So part of it, that comment it speaks to the culture now and how the culture has changed since the Me Too movement. And obviously, Harvey Weinstein was really symbolic at the time during his first trial. But take away that cultural aspect and the implications of how the world has shifted in mentality. It's going to be very different because of the ruling that actually overturned Harvey Weinstein's case, meaning that certain witnesses are not going to be permitted to testify. In his original trial, there were 3 what's called Molyneux witnesses, and that's a New York case which allows for individuals to testify on uncharged conduct, so meaning conduct that's never been in court, because it shows that there's a pattern, a modus operandi. So those 3 witnesses testified the first time around. They will not be permitted to testify in this new trial. Also, the other reason why the conviction was overturned, because Harvey Weinstein would have been confronted with some of that uncharged conduct, with some of the other pending charges which were in California at the time, had he taken the stand. Those are no longer on the table, and prosecutors will be a lot more limited in cross-examination should Harvey Weinstein choose to testify. So the trial itself is just going to look a lot different based on that appellate court ruling.
Misty Marris, always great to get your point of view. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.